Wow. You got to work on your Halloween scary face. It's not scary enough.
It's October, and I am going to get you.
All right, what's today's topic?
Today's topic is something that keeps popping up on my Instagram. Like all these abandoned buildings. There's this photographer or a group of people or a couple or I don't know what it is. They go to these gorgeous abandoned places, like these scary places, and they like explore and take these amazing photographs of each one, and it kind of like romanticizes the place. But then it makes me think about like the scary places that maybe we've been to.
You know what's crazy?
Yes.
Just last night, I was out with my friend.
Yeah.
And he was talking about videos that he'd seen about people visiting abandoned places.
Are we getting the same feed?
The same vibes are coming from everywhere.
Instagram is really pushing.
I know. All right, so we're talking about what?
The scariest place we've ever been.
I got a good one.
Already?
Yeah, I've got a good one.
What? I just presented it to you.
Yeah. Well, I think I only have one scary place that I've ever, like really scary place that I've ever been to in my life.
I feel like I have many.
Okay.
There are a few that just like gives me the creepers. Like, I don't know if they're necessarily scary places, but since you already have one,
yeah,
why don't you go today?
Oh, I'm going first?
Yes.
All right. The scariest place I've ever been is this abandoned hospital in Glendale, Maryland.
I already don't like the sound of this. You actually went to an abandoned hospital.
Abandoned hospital. And so I don't know all the details, but from what I was told, it's an abandoned psych hospital, which makes things even worse. And it's like from ages ago. I don't know. I'm kind of guessing now, maybe from the 1920s, 1930s, but it is very old. And a lot of the stuff is still inside that hospital.
No.
And I actually visited there.
Wait. Back up.
I went inside.
Back up. We need more details. Like you're really going over the story very, very quickly.
All right. So here it is. I'll tell you all about it.
There is stuff still there.
Okay. I'll get to that. All right. So
start from the beginning. It's story time, people.
All right. So
here's scary ghost stories for you or location stories for you.
Okay. So this was back when I was just out of high school, so early in college. And my friends and I always knew of this place, and it was called Glendale Hospital. That's what it was known as. And I knew it was there. None of us had ever visited it, but we said, let's go and visit. Now,
how many of you were there?
I think there may have been around 6 or 7 of us.
Oh, that's a big group.
Yeah, it's a big group. And back then it wasn't very well protected. Now I think it is. I think there are cops there now, but you could easily go in there. But we had heard a lot about it. We had heard that, it was a psych hospital. It was completely abandoned, that some strange stuff had happened in there, that they had maybe experimented on patients.
Yes,
so
they did.
All of that kind of stuff we'd heard before actually going there. And then, so it was one night, I think it was a summer night. My friends and I met up at at somebody's house, and we all decided we'll wear black so that we don't get.
I'm wearing black.
There you go.
Hello.
So we decided we'll all wear black. So it's less. We'd all wear black so that we don't get seen at night because it's going to be really dark.
Yeah.
And so we all got in a car, and then we parked, or 2 cars. I think we took 2 cars. We parked outside of the campus and got out of the car, and then we started walking towards.
I'm like holding myself. You guys. I'm like, I just noticed I'm like holding myself. Like,
yeah.
I would not.
You have to. Maybe we'll do it one day. But okay, so we got out of the car. It was a dark night, but the moon was out, so we could actually see where we're walking. Okay. And we're walking to what looked like the only building. So from what I'd seen, I could just see this really big building, and we start walking towards it. And
You're like romanticizing this. You're like, it was a summer night. The moon was out.
Hey.
It was a moonlit building. We were holding hands. 6 of us.
We were not holding hands.
Oh, I was holding my own hand right now.
So
continue.
We walked towards the building, and we wanted to get inside the building so we weren't seen. So we got into the building as fast as we could. and the thing was in pretty bad shape. I mean, the paint's coming off of the wall. We could hardly see anything once we were in there. So we had like some cell phones and stuff that we were just using as lights to kind of guide us around.
Now, is it like, this is what I'm trying to like hear it, right? Also,
Okay.
because you can barely see it. Was it wooden, creaking floors? Was it concrete?
It was
there
concrete.
marble? Like,
It was concrete. What I remember most was that there were leaves, like, an abandoned building after many years collects like leaves, collects, there's just random stuff here and there. And you could also tell that other people had come in there. There were some weird, scary symbols that were
what do you mean?
graffitied on the walls. So
like the star stuff and the devil stuff?
Yeah. So people had been there and done scary stuff. Anyway, so we walked in and we started walking through a hall where we could see into rooms, like what looked like hospital rooms, where there was like a steel bed that was still there. And then there was like built-in closets, cabinets, and there was still stuff inside.
What?
So we weren't touching anything.
But what was inside?
Well, I don't
Like
remember exactly.
scientific stuff or
Things-
like
it was-
clothes or...
It wasn't that clear because things had deteriorated so much.
Oh
so you
my.
couldn't really tell what it was.
Okay.
And once we started making our way down the hall and looking through some of those rooms, things started getting a little bit too scary. Just seeing this stuff was a little too scary.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, maybe let's get out of this building, because also if somebody else was there, if other people were there doing weird stuff, or they just didn't like the look of us, and we said we better not get cornered inside the building. So we said, let's get outside the building. And that's when I saw when this whole thing got bigger and scarier because of this. As soon as we walked out a different exit out of the building, different from the one we entered from, the entire campus of the hospital opened up. There are multiple buildings.
Yes.
There are
yes.
multiple
Back then,
buildings.
all these sites had
And-
multiple. Yeah.
And all of them looked the same. There was like this little road that was leading to all these buildings and scary buildings and towers and what looked like little houses, maybe
Like
there
living
was,
quarters for the staff or
maybe-
nurses or doctors or whatever.
right, maybe some living quarters, maybe some security buildings. It was all there, and it was just like it was one building being scary that opened up to a whole campus of scary. But at the same time, we were also feeling like, wow, there's so much more to explore. So we started walking down.
Yeah.
And I think I was too scared and the others were too scared to actually go into another building, because
Yeah.
when we're in the building, that's the most scary part,
Yeah.
because you kind of feel like you might get trapped in there.
Right. The feeling of...
So if you do something wrong, or somebody gets hurt, or you go down the wrong staircase, and because this is not being maintained, so you could try going up and down a staircase that's about to crumble, and now we're all stuck. And yeah, so this was definitely the scariest place I'd ever been, and it's still there, but it is well protected. So
How did you guys get out? Like, what did you do were you just strolling back and you're like,
that's
all
a
right.
good question. I do remember us running for our lives out of there, and I'll tell you why.
I'm so glad I asked.
Somebody heard something. Somebody heard something in one of the trees, and we couldn't make out what it was. And they kept hearing it, and they kept hearing it. And we were like,
Just
looking
that
up
one
at the tree.
person?
One person heard it, and then we all started looking for it. And I think a couple people then said, okay, I heard the same thing, but we're looking up at this tree, and they're like, it's right there. It's coming from right. And we just couldn't make out what it is. So something was in this tree, and everyone was getting a really bad feeling from it. So we're like, this is it. It's done. And we all run out. Another reason why we were running is because sometimes there is security there. And we don't want to get caught.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a lot of history about Glendale Hospital, and you can
I
actually
have heard
look
of
up.
it.
Yeah.
Many times, because when I did work in an actual modern day psych hospital, we'd always share these type of stories, and everyone's like, have you ever been to Glendale? And I was like, no. And then I'd look it up and I was like, holy shit, I am not going here ever. We did have a hospital like that in Massachusetts because I actually grew up in a very, like, one of the first, like, pilgrim settlers cities. So things are there from, like, the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s for sure, 1700s. There are homes from the 1700s, you know, still intact. And I don't know how old the hospital is. It is a couple hundred years old, I think. I have to look it up again. But anyways, there was also a state hospital where I grew up. And one side of, well, there's a road that divides one side where the state hospital and all that, like the medical side was. And then there was the other side that had the psych side, at least from what I've learned growing up. But I never really... we drove by there. I'm like just thinking about it. We drove by there all the time. Like you had to go to my parents' store, back and forth from there to, if you took a different route, to our high school or whatever. And I know tons of kids that went through there that would tell stories. I had opportunities. I was always like, hell no, I am not putting myself in that situation. So I've never done it.
Yeah.
I think one of my cousins went. I don't know his story, but yeah.
Wow.
I would just get like creeped out, like just driving by, you would feel the heaviness.
You felt something?
I would just feel I'm like, please. I would literally pray every time I drive by there. But the crazy part is that after all that time, part of it has turned into apartments. And the psych side, they completely, like, there was a long-standing thing with the city folks. Like, they did not want it to be demolished. They demolished it and made it into a factory of this big company, whatever. And I'm just imagining, like, what happened to all the ghosts and stuff in there?
Well, those people are living with them now.
They're all free.
Yeah.
Or just like lingering around in that area, you know? So that's creepy. I'm curious to like hear about those people that work there or that live there. Like, do they hear anything? Do they feel anything?
You should do like a little investigation on it.
I know I should.
Yeah.
I should. Next time we go up home, we'll just knock on everyone's door and be like, hello, can you please tell us what is your story with this place? Do you hear things at night? Does anyone touch you? Do you see things during the day?
That'll be fun.
Wow, that was so scary. Just even like thinking about it and imagining it in my head. If you are enjoying this, you're loving the talk, please leave a comment below, like and subscribe. And if you want to talk about a specific topic, dude, leave a suggestion below. Like, I'll talk about anything. We'll talk about anything, right?
Yeah. Okay, so what's your story?
I'm like trying to think of like the scariest place I've ever been to. And I can't think of something like that scary. You made us drive by that like Blair Witch Project park forest.
Well, that's just from the highway. So if you've ever watched the Blair Witch Project, they say it actually happened in Burkittsville, Maryland, which is not that far off too. So we've actually driven past the exit for Burkittsville. We've never taken the exit.
I know, but you drove me. You drove me past it.
You can see the forest from there.
Yeah, and it was freaking creepy.
I say we
to just think about it.
I say we take these mics and go drive over there now and do the rest of this episode from there.
Oh my God. Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Sure. If you want to sit in the middle of the forest.
No.
Okay, tell us your story.
Okay. The things that there are two places that kind of come up when I think about really, really creepy feelings. Well, actually three. Mm-hmm. Okay. So one is my dad's side, and I'm like exposing things now. My dad's side have all sorts of ghost stories. Like everyone and their mother have like experienced ghost or some sort of a ghost story thing in India, okay? And maybe possibly even in the US. It just seems to be part of our family. So they had this huge mansion. Like my dad's side comes from like farmlands. They were farmers and had acres and acres, like hundreds of acres of land back then. And so they had this humongous house where multifamily people lived. And for some reason in this town, which is really, really old, there are tons of ghost stories. So I kind of grew up hearing all of these stories. Okay. Can't go into details of all of them because it'll take like a 3-hour, video. But keeping in mind that I've heard all these ghost stories, when I went there as a kid, I was like kind of oblivious and I was like, okay. But I remember like being really scared and crying. Uh-huh. I don't know if my parents remember this. I should actually ask them. But I remember like when I visited there, I was just not feeling well. And I remember feeling like, like that feeling like, is someone watching me? Is someone here? Like you just feel this energy. And as a young kid, I remember feeling that way. Mm-hmm. That I was just like, this is so creepy. I remember crying about it. Then as a teenager, I went there just out of curiosity. My mom took me and my cousins, and one of my cousins, it was her first time to go pushed off the top level of the stairs, down the stairs. And to this day, like,
where is this? Did this happen in your
Nabard,
family's house?
Gujarat. Should I even say that?
Yeah, but did it happen in your family's house?
So we visited in the house, and this happened in Gujarat. We were walking around to see, like, my mom's like, oh yeah, this is where your dad grew up. And my dad was working at the store here in the US. So she's just like, this is what we did here. This is what we did there. So we were kind of just walking around. So my cousin was probably taking pictures or looking around. I forgot what she was doing, but she was on the landing and all of a sudden she fell down a whole flight of stairs. Okay. And I was there. I saw it. And it literally felt like someone pushed her. That's what it looked like. So when you were
watching it, it looked like somebody had pushed her.
Yes. The way she like fell down and the way she felt it also, like as if she's like, someone pushed me. Wow. Nobody was there. Nobody was there.
Wow.
Nobody was there.
So wait, so what did you guys do?
We got out. I remember getting out and I was like,
was the house abandoned at that time?
They've been renting it. We don't know because another part of our family has like taken over and they've been in charge for a very long time. So we don't know. Apparently some mayor was staying there for a while.
But was anybody else in the house when you guys were there?
No, not on that part. So there's like two sections. It's like one section that's being rented out and that section, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's being rented out now. I'm not sure. Pretty much everyone's given up on the I have no idea. A whole different family, like our cousin's family has like taken over and stuff. But I remember being in that town and just there's this like creepy tree, like banyan tree type thing that's like really, really old, thousands of years old, where there's a lot of ghost stories around that. Like there's this witch that they call Trudale. It's called a Trudale. I can't even say that. I can't even say the name. Like it creeps me out just saying that.
Yeah.
Like that witch is like, it's just a, okay. So there's tons of stories of that too, that I just like, basically the story is like, she lives up in the tree, her feet are turned and she drops to your feet and like harasses you and like tortures you. Wow. And I would just picture like, I'm hearing these stories and I'm like, is she going to fall to my feet and then jump back up and then fall to my feet, jump back up? Like, what is this? So I'd always get scared.
So, this
Indian stories are really like, there's a lot of folklores and tall tales and things like that. And it gets very descriptive when people are sharing their stories.
What's up with this thing about the backwards feet? Because I've heard of that in other stories of that come from India. Yeah, I've heard of that.
I don't know.
It's just like a scary look, I guess. I think they just make that part up so things sound scarier. Things
sound scary, especially because it's a woman ghost. Like, what if she's just minding her own business, I don't know. I don't know what the deal with that is.
Okay, so that was your scariest place?
I would say that, and also... do haunted houses count for this one? Or are we doing a haunted houses episode? So
was it a made up haunted house?
Yeah, made up haunted house.
No. I don't think that should count.
Well, it was a very scary made up haunted house place. Okay, maybe we could do another episode on haunted houses. All right, another place. also in Massachusetts. There's this place called Sturbridge Village. We would go there for school trips.
Isn't this like where they do the reenactments of like olden times?
Yes, people actually live there, work there full time.
Yeah.
And they live like the Pilgrims did.
Yeah. And you go and you pay some money to go and visit that area, and they're all in character. Yeah.
And they make food and bake. There's a bakery. It's like a legit full town functioning, but you can go there and do tours and visit and all this stuff. So I remember who was visiting, probably some family member visiting, and this is me probably in my early 20s. Wait, were we married when I went there? Because you weren't there.
I don't think so.
Probably right before we got married.
Yeah.
Or something. So I was in my early 20s, and I hadn't been there since I was like a teenager for a school trip. So, okay. I've got to explain this. It seems like a gated, like imagine an M. Night Shyamalan, like The Village type of a thing, but it's enclosed, it's clean, it is pretty, but just that kind of like villages, homes. There's a blacksmith place. There's all these things, and there's like a guy with a horse buggy that goes around and blah blah blah. All right. So you're walking through, and it's a large like area. You're walking through, and you're seeing homes from the 1700s.
Yeah.
And I remember everyone's just looking around and stuff. And once again, when I'm in these creepy places, I really feel like certain energies and stuff. So I was already like tense, like really like I'm feeling something. I'm having trouble breathing. And then my sister, so I'm one of 4 kids. And then I remember the sister that's right after me, my second sister, or my first sister, the second one, Namrata. We were both in the town hall part of the place where they like declared people to be witches or like, punished them or whatever.
Do that
and they
whole
were
act and yeah.
Yeah. And it's like a 2-level place. We were walking in, and I have pictures of this. But I don't know where. Ugh, I hope we can find it for this video. But it's like an old-timey town hall, okay? And you've got like the second level up top. Everything's wooden. And I took a picture of this place. We went in, and all of a sudden I felt so suffocated. Like I felt like things were just zipping by me. And I was like, let me take a picture. And in this picture, you can see orbs all over the freaking place. Like all over. And you know the thing with the orbs, right? If you ever watch like a ghost hunter show or whatever, they assume that it's a spirit or some sort of entity.
Right.
And I remember like I had just gone in, did that. I was almost about to go like into the next aisle because there was like wooden benches, like a church like setting. And it was just so intense. And it wasn't just me. My sister felt it too, because she's like sensitive in that way too. She can like feel things. She just doesn't react to it. She's more badass than I am. But it was so intense to the point where we ran out of there. And I was almost crying. Like, because I just
So she felt
like,
it too?
She felt it too.
Okay.
That's my long story. She felt it too. And I haven't been back there since then. I just felt so many like spirits. And I've always wanted to take you to that place because I want to see how you feel going there.
I don't feel like I get those type of feelings from places. I might feel like a place is creepy, but I don't get any extra feelings like you're talking about. So yeah, but if there's something intense there, let's go try it out.
Yeah.
I'm all for that stuff. I'm ready to go anywhere.
Yeah, how have we not gone there? We've known each other for like 20 something years. How have I not taken you there?
I don't know.
We've got to go.
Okay.
All right. We'll go holding hands. We'll take all our like equipment and stuff. We should get like, in Ghost Hunters, they have like those microphones that can hear like at a different like frequency.
Yeah. I think there's an iPhone app for that too.
What? There actually is. You made me download it once, remember?
Yeah, there's a ghost detector
When-
iPhone app.
When did we do that? At the old house.
Yeah.
When I was like feeling stuff and he's like, here, I downloaded this. And then there was just an on off switch. That's all there was. And these little needles that would go boop, 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 boop. And it was literally doing that all the time. It was just for fun. And he got a kick out of it. And I was like,
You don't know if it's just for fun.
okay.
It has pretty good reviews.
There's no way like it was on and there was something everywhere I went.
I don't know. People said they used that and they found some ghosts. So maybe you didn't use it properly.
Do you have any others? I'm trying to think. I have so many. I feel like now that I'm talking about
All
it.
right, tell us another one.
No, tell me. Do you have any other creepy?
No, I don't have any others.
You don't?
No.
That's it?
That's it.
You haven't felt creeped out anywhere else?
I could feel creeped out, but I don't think it was anything to the level of the hospital. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I used to be a teacher at one point, okay? And it was also before we got married. And I worked at an elementary school, and there was a school trip that we went on.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the behavioral side, by the way. So I would be with a group of kids that needed a little more monitoring, and go along with them. And one of the trips was it Deerfield or Greenfield Village? It was another village.
By the way, I hear some creepy snoring. Is there some animal around here? Oh, okay.
Cookie.
These scary stories happening, and she's like snoring under the table.
Oh, so cute. She's gonna just give us some pet therapy while I tell this story. Okay, this is really creepy, okay? So pay attention, seriously. I was walking in a graveyard at this other old-timey village. Mm-hmm. And in this graveyard, it was in the middle of the winter, and I was passing by this certain tombstone, and I was getting so hot. Like, I literally stopped, and I was like, oh my God, it's so hot. Like, I'm just feeling like fire, like seeing fire, Yeah. And I kind of said it out loud. There was this other like assistant teacher that was around, and she was like, what did you say? And I was like, I'm just feeling like, this thing. And she's like a believer of, having powers and things like that. So she was like, we're actually at a very famous gravestone. Mm. So then she pretty much educated me. And then I looked, and it was this mother who had passed away at that house over there while trying to save her kids and her family in a burning fire.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Like, what the heck? I had chills. I was so scared. I literally wanted to run off. But then all the kids were out doing their little assignments and stuff. And I was just like, calm down, calm down, calm down. Don't freak out in front of these other teachers, in front of all these little kids. Like, I remember feeling like, I was getting like all sorts of stuff thrown at me at that point. I feel like when you open up and you talk about certain things, you're actually opening up to the thought of like, I guess you're opening up to receiving whatever, right?
All that scary stuff.
Yeah. So then you feel it more. Anyways, so yeah, the graveyard thing. I do not like going to graveyards. I don't like passing by them like a lot of normal people. I don't want to say normal, but a lot of people. And yeah, I have a few more stories like that too.
I'll tell you something. I don't find graveyards spooky at all. Not at all. There's nothing spooky about it.
There's dead people there.
It doesn't matter. Dead people don't spook
There's
me
spirits.
out. I haven't seen a spirit. But I'll tell you what can be creepy to me. Not creepy. It's just it's an unusual feeling I get when there are places that typically have a lot of people, mm-hmm. but when you visit them during a time when there's no one there. Ooh. I'll give you an example. If you're in a shopping mall, when there is no one else in the shopping mall.
Why?
That is creepy. And the reason is because
well, nowadays, because they're online.
Because you're so used to being there when there are tons of people. As soon as there's no one, it feels really, really strange. Now, the same thing happened, and I know of this amusement park mm-hmm. that is abandoned now.
Oh, is it that one in DC
No,
with the
it's not.
colorful like?
It's in some other state. I don't
Okay.
remember exactly where, but I saw this little documentary about it, and just seeing where usually you can imagine tons of people, having fun and things like that, but then you see it completely empty. I think something like that feels really weird. It feels apocalyptic, maybe.
Yeah.
The same thing I get when I see pictures of like an abandoned, what are those called? Like a carnival. When people have left the carnival. Like I think a lot of scary movies are kind of based on these things.
And the Ferris wheel is slowly going.
Yes. And they did this on Stranger Things, the latest season of Stranger Things, where they had like this big thing.
Swinging slowly.
On Stranger Things, they had the shopping mall in the latest season where it was an abandoned shopping mall from the 80s, and then they went to investigate it. So even that stuff is kind of eerie to me.
That kind of reminds me of like all the time I've been in one of those large bathrooms and I'm the only one that's in there.
Yeah.
And it's so quiet. Like nobody's using it. That is the creepiest thing ever.
Yeah, that could be a little creepy too. Yeah.
It's like, why am I in this bathroom alone? And if I'm not alone, who is being so quiet? In which stall? Which freaking stall are you in? I will kick your ass. Like, that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's going to be a part 2 of this.
Okay.
Eventually.
Why? Because we're going to visit some creepy places?
No.
And then come and tell the stories?
No, because I have so many in my head that I'm like thinking of that I just was so creeped out at. And plus, when you grow up in Massachusetts and New England, there's tons of places.
There's a lot of old places.
Lots
there.
of old places.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, So, yeah. I think there's going to be a part 2 eventually.
Okay.
So if you're interested, if you have stories and you want to hear more, it is October, Halloween month. You can leave a comment below, like, subscribe, and please share your stories because, hello, these are supposed to be conversations between all of us friends. And spread love, and we'll see you on the next episode.